Hello, this is very nice. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for inviting me. I'm going to read you some of the bits and pieces that I've put together both in the book and since about what it was like 3 years ago for me. So I'll begin at the beginning. It's March 2020. You can't see a doctor, you can't go to A&E, you can't get tested. All you can do is ring a paramedic. I ring a paramedic. He tells me to breathe down the phone. I breathe. He listens. He asks me if I felt worse than yesterday. I say no. He says, "You're okay then." Tweet, March the 27th, 2020, day 12 of being ill. The year's seasons roll by in a night. Sweats, freezes, sweats, freezes. I wonder whose mouth I have. I don't remember it as made of sandpaper. Water is as good as ever. In the spare room at home, I say to Emma, it feels like I can't get enough air. There isn't enough air. I can't catch up, I say. I get so ill, Emma calls our friend and neighbour who's a doctor. She comes over with an oximeter. I've never seen an oximeter before. Emma puts it on my finger. 58, Emma says. Doctor says, "All right, is that the pulse?" Emma says, "No, the pulse is 115. Doctor writes later that she had never seen anyone with 58 who was still conscious. Emma drives me to A&E, Elsie, our daughter, in the back. I am panting. It's night. The road is empty. I go in. I don't have time to turn around. They're gone. A doctor is standing by my bed asking me if I will sign a piece of paper which will allow them to put me to sleep and pump air into my lungs. Will I wake up, I say. There's a 50-50 chance, he says. If I say no, I say. 0, he says. I sign. The nurses and volunteers in my intensive care ward keep a kind of journal about my stay there. They say it's my patient diary. I call it my very patient diary. On the cover it says, quote, "This diary can be completed by relatives, friends, nurses, doctors and allied health professionals to record the patient's daily events. The diary may help with the patient's post-critical care recovery by providing them with information and insight into a time when they were not aware. April the 9th, dear Michael, we are your ITU nurses today. You're doing fantastically well and fighting hard. You still have a breathing tube, but you're doing well. Keep fighting. LSC and Lizzie. April 10, hi Michael. I'm your helper this evening. Your vitals are slowly improving. I've never found out what my vitals are, by the way. My testicles, perhaps? I don't know. Including your temperature. We've wrapped you in a heated blanket and repositioned you regularly to improve your lung perfusion. You're sleeping peacefully at the moment, monitored and controlled by the ventilator. We've still another 8 hours together. But so far, so good. Jenny, physio by day, ITC helper by night. Dan works on my intensive care ward. He keeps his own diary. He changes our names. He calls me Mr. Jacobs. He writes, I said a few Hail Marys over Mr. Jacobs, even though I know he's Jewish. I think, good idea. Cover all the bases. Next day, Dan writes, came in, Mr. Jacobs still alive. I think, wow, he must have thought when he went home the night before that Mr. Jacobs was going to cop it. Poor Mr. Jacobs. Oh no, that's me. April the 14th, dear Michael, you required a ventilator to take over your breathing due to your further deterioration. The ICU team had to prone you, meaning you had to lie on your belly to help improve your oxygenation. This procedure required 7 people to reposition you safely. We're hoping to see you improving every day. Take one day at a time. You will get there soon. All the best, Michael. Margie, ICU nurse. April 17, dear Michael, my name is Beth. and I've been the nurse looking after you overnight. I normally work at Great Ormond Street Hospital looking after children, but have been moved here to help look after adults. I call you guys big children. You've done really well overnight. You're starting to move little bits. I haven't asked which little bits, which is excellent. Hope you continue this great progress. You've got this. Looking forward to meeting you when you wake up. You wrote my favourite book. We're going on a bear hunt. All the best, Beth. April 19th. My name is Natasha. I'm usually employed in the community, but because the school I work in is closed, I'm helping out in ICU. She's a nurse. This evening, one of the IV lines in your neck was taken out because the doctors are happy with your progress. You've also been moving your arms about a little, and I think you might have been aware of us speaking to you. Keep fighting, Michael. April 24th. Hello, Michael. I've been asking you to blink and squeeze my hand to communicate, and you've been diligently obliging. It's the first time in my life anyone has ever called me diligently obliging. Please send your NHS anniversary poem to Boris Johnson. Best of luck, Kajal Doshi. April 26th. Hey Michael, today's been a busy day for you. Lots of doctors and nurses have been caring for you. You've been well cared for. You've been restless at times, but I've been there to hold your hand. Alison. April 29th. Good afternoon, Michael. It's Claire again. You must be sick of me talking to you today. We've been chatting a lot to keep you stimulated so your blood pressure rises. You're turning your head when I'm talking to you as well. Great stuff. Keep going. You've got this. Claire. April 29th. Night shift. You still have a breathing tube going into your throat, meaning you aren't able to speak. So unfortunately for you, it's mostly me chatting away to you. I seem to get a response when I mentioned that you supported Arsenal, judging from your pictures. But you didn't seem impressed when I told you I was a Derby County fan. Keep going, keep fighting, and keep being so strong. Lizzie, kiss, kiss. My wife Emma's email to the family on May the 2nd. Hi all, Mick, that's me, is experiencing delirium at the moment, and this is making him quite agitated, hallucinating, and moving his arms and legs around. I always laugh at that bit, sorry. Moving his arms and legs around. The doctor asked me for some music last evening, and apparently some Django Reinhardt seemed to soothe him a bit. Elsie and I made a playlist for him this morning, which is now taped on the wall by his bed, and the nurses already played him some of the tracks. Love to all, Emma, kiss. May the 3rd. You're trying to communicate now by mouthing words and nodding or shaking your head or using facial expressions. Natasha, May the 3rd overnight. Your blood pressure decided that it fancied being a yo-yo, and we've had to do a good amount of deep suctioning via your trachea. I'm really sorry that this is so unpleasant. It's so important to get that mucus out of your lungs. I'm sorry I can't write more with the pandemic. Each nurse has multiple patients, but keep fighting. You'll go home soon. Sarah. May 4th. Hi Michael, we're going to do a video call to your family shortly. It's always important for recovery to hear familiar voices. Keep fighting. I know you can do this. Best wishes, Holly. May 4th again. Dear Michael, things may seem like a dream when you're here. You may remember vivid memories or images, sounds, or even smells. That's very normal. Your family has been sending their love every day. All the best in your recovery. Joe, nurse. May 6th. Afternoon, Michael. We've had a busy day so far. It started off with spa time. A bed bath, hair comb, nail cut and clean, and we also shaved your beard. Sorry, we know you usually have a beard, but that's just so we can keep the area around your trachea clean. I'm unsure whether I'll work with you again, Michael. I should be heading back to my bladder and bowel team. Best wishes, Holly. May 7th. Dear Michael, happy birthday. It's been so lovely to help look after you today on your birthday. You've been popular today. FaceTime calls from your family and a birthday card. You were also treated to a rendition of Happy Birthday from about 15 ICU staff around your bedside, and a round of applause from staff and one of the other patients. Get well soon, Sophie, Monique. In fact, my daughter tells me they took a photograph of that, but they won't show me. I said, why not? And my daughter said, because you look dead, Dad. Emma, email to the family, May 15th. Hi all, Mick has been calmer, more settled, and has been off all sedation for the last few days. Remember that date, May 15th. He's responding some commands with hand squeezing, arm movements, and has some improved function in his muscles, which are obviously very weakened after so long. They think he may have some nerve damage, and I don't know if this could be permanent or temporary and what the cause is. He's still on the antibiotics for the cavitating pneumonia. All love for now, Emma, kiss. May 15, night shift. Hi Michael, I originally admitted you to the intensive care unit 40 days ago. Well, what a roller coaster you've been on since then. This should be in a very strong Irish accent, by the way. And you're still here to tell the tale. I've read your birthday cards and messages to you and continually remind you where you are, which seems to help when you start to get a bit agitated. Get well soon, Carmen, who I met on a BBC TV programme. May 16, night shift. Dear Michael, it's Natasha again. Although you can't voice yet because of the cuffed tracheostomy tube, you have been able to indicate yes, no, and with a combination of guesswork and your expressive non-verbal communication skills, what are they? I don't know. You're able to ask some questions and make comments. There have been moments when you've been distressed and needed lots of reassurance. This is completely understandable. Being in ITU under the current circumstances can be incredibly disorienting and traumatic. I wish you safely home soon, Natasha. Emma, email to the family, May the 17th. So I haven't, even though they've stopped the meds, I haven't woken up, yes? Hi all, at short notice today, the hospital allowed me to visit Mick. They wheeled his bed out onto the 4th floor where there's a great view of London. Is there, Emma? Right, interesting. So I could sit with him. I played him all the little messages you recorded for him, and he definitely responded to them. He's also now had a negative COVID test. Bloody hurrah. All love, that's not me, that's her. I don't swear. All love, Emma, kiss. May the 18th. Hi Michael, you've been trying to tell us a few things, but we haven't been able to understand, and that's been very frustrating. But you've told us you're comfortable and you've stayed positive in spite of it all. No memory of this at all. Keep fighting, it'll all be worth it. Dan. May 19th, day 43. Please be patient with yourself. Slowly but surely. I can't blame you, you really wanted to go home. Hospital can be quite boring at times. May you continue to touch and inspire every human being you will encounter. God bless, your nurse, Wincy. May 21. Dear Michael, talking to you this evening, you're expressing how you've had to relearn many things as you recover from your illness. This is true, but remember to give yourself the time to do this. You will get stronger day by day. Be patient if you can. We will help you as you continue on your journey of recovery. So pleased to be able to talk with you and hear your voice. Best wishes, Louise. May 22, email from Emma. Hi all. I'm very happy to say that Michael is moving out of ICU tonight. He's talking, still confused, delirium at times, and is trying to piece it all together, obviously, but slowly becoming more Mick-like. I'm going to the hospital in a bit to deliver him some comfy bedclothes, a soft blanket, his own toiletries. He will have been in hospital 8 weeks tomorrow and has spent 47 days in ICU. Look forward to a glass of wine later. Love to all, Emma. After the coma, They put me in a geriatric ward. I suppose they think I might be terminal. One nurse must think I'm a bit sprightly. She says, "What are you in here for?" I say, "I don't know." And if I don't know and you don't know, then we're both in trouble, aren't we? The consultant says that when they took me off the drugs that were keeping me asleep, I didn't wake up, so they got Emma to come in, as you've heard. She held my hand and played recordings of the kids in my ear. One of them was a teenage boy, by the way. He's just a bit older, obviously, now. And he was going through his non-speaking stage. So I keep wondering what it was that he said. And apparently I reacted. My arm went in the air when I was lying there, you see, like that with a tracker. And he went, amazing. Then they wheeled me back into the lift, and the consultant says, Emma was the game changer. After that, he said, I didn't stop talking. Not like me at all. A nurse stands by my bed and says, "You're on puree. It says so over your bed. I've got cottage pie for you." She feeds me the pureed cottage pie with a spoon because I can't feed myself. It tastes fantastic. I love it. I say, "Thank you for the cottage pie and thank you for feeding me." Very poorly. It's something the doctors and nurses say about me. Every so often, a doctor or nurse stands by my bed and says, "You were very poorly." I'm starting to expect it. They often seem pleased, surprised almost at the time, less poorly. I get the feeling that some people who were very poorly died. I didn't die. After the coma, 4 people come to my bed and lift me up so that I can stand. I shake all over. I look down and see my legs. They're my father's legs when he was dying. You sat with me, you washed me, you cleaned me, you shaved me, you held my hand, you woke me up to stop my blood pressure going down. You sang to me, you talked to Emma, you played me her playlist, you wrote to me in my patient diary, you told me to keep fighting. It's the sort of thing we do for our children as parents, but you're not my parents. Thank you. A psychologist comes, he says, "We filled you up with mind-changing drugs. You may have frightening hallucinations." I say, "Yes, I dream I'm in a German Christmas party. I can't move. They throw berries in the air. They explode. And then we sing, Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht." And the psychologist says, In the geriatric ward, I shrink down to a body that they test. Bits of a body they test, a body in bits. Eye, toe, ear, ribs, tongue, tailbone, eye, toe, ear, ribs, skin, lips, ribs, eye. That's what I am, a body in bits. On one night on the phone in the geriatric ward, I say to Emma, when I come home, I'd better live upstairs so that I can crawl to the loo. I don't think I'll be able to go up and down the stairs. A month later, when I get home, I see that we have a downstairs loo. I'd forgotten we had a downstairs loo. One night in the geriatric ward, I lie in bed trying to remember my shoes. I don't know what shoes I've got. I don't know what shoes I've got at home. I could remember my Crocs. I couldn't remember what shoes I had at home. I don't tell Emma that because I feel ashamed. I lie on my back and make up a story in my head about a cat who longs to have pasta. He can't have pasta because his owners go away and forget to tell the boy looking after the cat that it loves pasta. I write the story and it's published. It's called Rigatoni, the Pasta Cat. I think it's about me in hospital longing for hummus. In the geriatric ward, I look down to the bottom of the bed at my big toes. The nails have come off and there's just dried blood. The nurses say, that's what's happening with COVID. Sticky blood, fills the capillaries burst, and bits of the toes die. Your hands speak, that's you, nurses, your hands speak. Touch is a language. Each palm, each fingertip is a line from your stories. I get what they each say. This hand is in a hurry. This hand hesitates. These hands are worried. They catch me as I slope sideways. This hand knows a lot. It hunts for the lumps where previous jabs filled me with blood thinner. This hand hunts for bed sores. It spreads Vaseline and kindness. After you've taken my blood pressure and you've clipped the oximeter on my finger to find out if I'm taking up oxygen, you stand at the end of my bed and stare at me. I ask you why. You say, you're doing my obs. What is this, I say. We look at you to find out how you are, you say. Well, what do you write down, I say. What we see, you say. Well, I'd like to look at that one day, I say. Now that I've been in for weeks, there must be yards and yards of obs. I wonder what they say. Things like, he could do with a haircut. He looks less dead today. The consultant says, we didn't know if you were brain dead or not, Michael. I say, well, you didn't tell me that at the time. He said, well, there wasn't any point. We thought you were brain dead. The consultant says you've got 3 blood clots in your pulmonary artery. I say, should I worry? He said, no, you'll probably digest them. I think of clots, like scabs. On camping holidays, me and my friend Mart used to eat our scabs. Maybe it'll be something like that. We think we know who we are. There's the mind, and there's seeing our body and feeling it as it does our bodily things. Then you get ill, and doctors and nurses start reading stuff inside you. Liver, kidneys, spinal column. You knew they were there, but you couldn't read them. I go to a rehab hospital, St Pancras, NHS. I can't stand up, I can't walk. The physiotherapist, nurses and occupational therapists tell me that they'll get me walking in 3 weeks. I don't believe them. At the rehab hospital on the first day, a guy who had been in the Greek army comes to my bedside, claps his hands together and says, 1, 2, 3, let's go. And I say, go where? I can't move. That's a horrible dream, we'll skip that one. I learnt to walk when I was 1, I learnt to walk when I was 17 after a car accident. I'm learning to walk again now that I'm 74, 3 times. Seems a bit excessive. At the rehab hospital, the OT says, throw the balloon to me. I try. It's too heavy. They've been worried about my low blood pressure. The nurse is worried about my low blood pressure, but they've brought me the Daily Mail, so it'll be fine in just a moment. A therapist comes to my bed and says, you had a tracheostomy, so you have to be careful about what you eat. You can't eat raisins, she says. But some days, that's all I eat, I say. I tell children in schools my name is Michael Raisin. You can't eat raisins anymore, she says. They say your voice is very feeble. You need voice therapy. After all that time in a coma, your diaphragm has forgotten how to work. They say I have to sing down a plastic straw so that it blows bubbles and trill through my lips. Brrr, brrr, and do that 100 times a day, they say. Yes, I do a lot of that. Brrr. Now my diaphragm works. They give me a stick. I call it Sticky McStick-Stick. It helps me walk. I love Sticky McStick-Stick. But then a physiotherapist comes and says, I've become stick reliant. So I have to throw away Sticky McStick-Stick. The first time I walk to the toilet without Sticky McStick-Stick, I sing Search for the Hero Inside Yourself to get me there. I sit on the loo and think, I wonder how many people have sung Search for the Hero Inside Yourself to get themselves to the loo. Not many. When I get home, there's a letter from the hospital for me. It says that while I was in intensive care, there was an outbreak of Klebsiella, cavitating pneumonia. Bits of my lungs cavitated. I imagined something in my lungs making caves. After I come out of hospital, someone sends me a card with the message, Resurrection of the Year. I go to see the ear doctor. He says that bleeds in my brain have knocked out the nerve. Oh, I said, that's what the eye doctor said. The bleeds knocked out my eye. He gives me a hearing aid. Keep it on all day, he says. He goes over to a computer. I'll be able to see on here if you've got it on or not. The eye doctor says, why have you still got your tracheostomy dressing on 6 weeks after? I say, there's a hole. He says, I'll find you someone. A woman takes me away. She looks in the hole. You're granulating, she says. This'll hurt. It's silver nitrate. Psst. Later, the hole closes. Later, the eye doctor said, she's in cosmetics. I say these things like I know what I'm talking about. Okay, maybe I'll finish. 2 physios come over and sit on the sofa at home. They ask me, what are your long-term objectives? I thought, have I got any of them? I wondered, have I ever had long-term objectives? I don't think so. What are your long-term objectives right now, they say? To be able to walk to the end of the street, go to the Jewish deli, remember what I went there for, and bring it back home all by myself. That would be good, I think. Yes, they say. Anything else? Live for a bit more? And come to think of it, I've never bothered to make pickled cucumbers. I just buy them. And my mother made lovely pickled cucumbers. I would like to try that one day. You're doing very well, they say. And so we'll whiz on. If any of you got any questions you'd like to ask, we can move on to questions. So I say to the consultant, just before you guys put me to sleep, you said I had a 50-50 chance of waking up. Was that what we all had on that ward? 50-50? More or less, he says. In the end, we lost about 42%. The consultant says that the intensive care ward was equipped for 11 patients. At the worst moment, we had 24. We were supposed to have one nurse with one patient all the time, 24 hours a day. Sometimes we had one nurse running between 3 or 4 patients. Some nurses haven't recovered. People say to me, do you remember anything about being in the coma? I say, no, nothing. I don't remember anything of the coma, or waking up, or the first days after that. When the doctor said I had a 50-50 chance of waking up, I remember thinking, hey, that's not so bad. Maybe I had hypoxia. 50-50 is quite good. And then I thought, if I go, at least I won't know I'm going. Like my son, Eddie. He died. And that's what the doctor said about Eddie. He wouldn't have known he was going, all the membranes of his cells leaking, his insides turning to mush. He said he had meningococcal septicemia. My grown-up sons come over and take the dad for a walk. I don't have a lead, I don't run off, and I don't sniff other dads. The consultant says at the beginning there wasn't enough PPE. One time the PPE came in, it was second hand. One piece came out of the packing with blood on. And when people meet me, they say, you're alive. And I say, are you sure? At the brain hospital, the nurse asks me how often I exercise. I say that I try to go for a 30-minute walk 3 times a week. She says, it should be 5. Thanks, nurses, thank you. How long were you in the coma for? 40 days, I say. 40 days and 40 nights. It was a bit biblical of me, wasn't it? Mind you, I'm not Jesus. I know we're both Jewish, but I'm not Jesus. Mind you, I wasn't on a boat. an ark, and there weren't any animals with me. You remember it rained? Yeah, you do. And my name's not Noah either. I tried to think of Noah's wife's name. Mrs. Noah. My wife wasn't with me. I tell children about it in schools. What was Noah's wife's name, I say? One girl says, Stephanie. And let's have a look. I said to Emma, the physiotherapist, not my wife, at the rehab hospital, I didn't think I'd be able to do a show to hundreds of children in a theatre again. She said I would. This year I do a show to hundreds of children at the Queen Elizabeth Hall at London South Bank. A woman with her kids asks me to sign a book. It's me, she says. It's Emma, the physiotherapist. And I tried to die, but you wouldn't let me. There you go. Thank you very much.